The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Undisputed Era has arrived.
You have the 25 days of Christmas. Impact's going to have the 25 days of releases.
I send it you to deletion! Yeah!
It's hashtag Alpha versus Omega.
Let's just say hashtag aroused.
No, you're going to step in that ring, and you're going to be looking at me eye to eye, and you're going to realize you ain't got a chance.
Thank God we don't have to talk about it anymore, because she got that cancer out of there.
Sean stole my answer. I'm just glad we don't have to talk about this anymore.
And that's not an insult. That is just a fact of life.
Got a broken leg. Some stitches in the eye coming. Spent 2018 on the hospital bed. New Year's Day. Hell of a year. Gotta go get x-rays. Got stitches. He told me not even to take the shoe off. What? Like, how am I supposed to go to the hospital in this outfit?
We'll take a look at your ankle.
I need a minute, dude. Just give me a minute. Ah!
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Hello and welcome to another great edition of Wrestling to the Max. This is episode 281, part 1, folks, and we are excited to be here with you. We, of course, are brought to you by W2Mnet.com, the place where you'll go get all your great wrestling podcasts and a lot more. And hey, do us a favor, go hit that subscribe button wherever you can find us, and subscribing to Wrestling to the Max or the W2M Network, whatever one you choose, definitely helps us, and it helps you. It gets all our podcasts in one nice package for you guys. You never have to come and search for us again. Also, while you're there and while you're doing these things, make sure you hit that rate button. If you want to hit 5 stars, 4 stars, I just want you to hit that button. That way we get a chance to know what you think about the show, and we also get a chance to get a little bit more exposure. Review too, man. Anything you have to say about us, we just want to hear it. So make sure you hit rate and review and do all that. And we appreciate those that have already done that. And hey, also big love to 411mania.com and LastRealProWrestling.com. Both great supporters of ours. We want to give them some love too. So make sure you do that for us. And one last thing, make sure you also, let us know what you think about the review shows that we do every week, too. We will make sure you go check out SmackDown Live, 205 Live. Of course, me and Paul do Raw every week, along with NXT. So I never really promote those a lot on the beginning of these shows, but I want to make sure that people do know we review all these shows every week. So if you're just a primary listener to Wrestling to the Max, we got a lot more content you're not getting to hear if you're not listening to those shows. And tonight, once again, I am here. I am your host, Gary Vaughan, and along with me, Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And Sean is out tonight. To be fair, we started this a little later tonight, so I think Sean got busy, or maybe he has Betty by again. But you know what? I mean, I feel bad. But Sean also had a big assignment. He had to do the college football playoffs. That's right. The championship game was up against Monday Night Raw. And Sean, of course, being the football editor, being the football podcaster he had, of course, watched the national championship game, stayed up pretty late doing it, too. And so it kind of put things in perspective of why he might not be able to be on tonight. But that's okay. He'll probably join us for Thursday's show. But yeah, Paul, I'm excited to be here, man. We've got some really cool news topics to talk about tonight in Quick Hits. We also got Ring of Honor, their first TV taping that has actually, been played for us on air for 2018. So a lot of stuff that actually kind of fell out of Final Battle, which is a little old now, but we're finally getting a chance to see some of the fallout from that show. So we got a really, I'll be honest with you, a fun show. I'm excited about this one. We've got some cool content. Before we get into all of that, I got to mention, we did a big deal this last Thursday night on our show when we talked about Wrestle Kingdom 12 and all the great things that took place there. But following that was New Year's Dash, and we never really got a chance to talk about it until you and Sean did a special on that. And I have yet to hear it yet. I'm sorry, I've been busy, but I'm definitely going to check it out. But I just have to say, I did watch it, Paul. I promise you, I did.
Oh.
And yeah, and it was a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of big things on that show, and you guys have suggested a few things to watch, and I'm going to go ahead and suggest them to the people out there that may have not have got to hear the show that you and Sean did. I want to listen to that, but also make sure you go check out a few of these matches. I mean, it was really fun. They did some really cool stuff. Repugny 3K. Mm-hmm. I love that whole deal with the Young Bucks playing off the bad back still. That was great. Amazing. Oh, my God. Great. I know you and Sean probably talked quite a bit about that. I love that. Also, I mean, you weren't lying. You warned me. You actually stayed up all night and watched this show, so you texted me, and I didn't see it till the next morning, but I cannot get over how excited I am about Naito and Chris Jericho. I don't know what this next hashtag is going to be, but it's going to be pretty serious, Paul. Right now. It's without words of excitement. It's like it's like when you scream so loud you can't scream at all.
Right. I mean, it's got to be way vulgar. It's the only thing I could think of because. I mean, you talk about Jericho, you talk about Naito, and that whole interaction at the end of New Year's Dash. Which if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, but geez, I saw that and immediately I was like, oh man, I gotta tell Gary because he will not be able to contain himself anytime we bring this up. This is the dream for him, and boy, I was kind of hoping for maybe a little more, but yeah, whenever we figure out that new hashtag for us in relation to that match, I don't know if we'll be able to say it on air.
I was trying to think of the best way to some of the first initial hashtags I had in mind, okay? But I'm right there with you. I don't know what's really appropriate because we try to keep this a little tame. That way maybe someone could drive in their car with, maybe a kid in their car and listen to us. Sometimes we fail at that. That's okay. Right now, hashtag O-Face was one of them.
Well, that's
and of course, to be honest with you, hashtag cream did the mine. So that's not too vulgar. I think maybe we could just, leave it at that, right?
I think so. I like hashtag O-Face personally.
We'll stick with that one. I don't know. Some of the other ones I had to say were, I'll be honest, I don't feel, I think I'd be blushing if I said some of the other things I wanted to say. So I can't tell you how excited I am about that match. And by the way, I mean, I'm super excited about that too. The fact that apparently Jericho and Naito are going to be taking on that match at the Long Beach show this year for the G1 beginning, right at the start of the whole G1.
I didn't know if that had been made officially. That's the talk, is that it could headline the U.S. show in April for Strong Style Evolved over there in Long Beach.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's official either. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I heard the same rumor, so you don't know how hard it is to contain myself and not try to find a way to California.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about selling out at an arena quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's how you do it.
Yeah. But just what a fabulous start to 2018 for New Japan. I mean, two of their biggest shows, well, New Year's Dash is probably not their biggest show, but it was definitely a great encore to what Wrestle Kingdom 12 had to offer. I've got to admit that. And I even loved the Young Lions, the beginning match. That was a lot of fun to watch, too.
Oh, the Young Lions, so. they're just a blast to watch. And New Year's Dash just sort of helps get the ball rolling into 2018. which is sort of a new thing. This is only the third year that it's really been like a must-watch thing, sort of like Raw after WrestleMania. But it's really, really cool that they did this, and we're going to talk about some other stuff that maybe helps get the ball rolling for some other stories throughout the year here in Quick Hits. But man, you're right. It is a heck of a start. Wrestle Kingdom was great. I love New Year's Dash. It's a really fun show, top to bottom. And if you haven't watched it yet, please out there do.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sorry if I spoiled things for you, but trust me, it's worth a watch. These guys spoiled me, and I watched it and loved every bit of it. So it's not like it's going to ruin it completely for you. Trust me. There's a lot more show that I didn't even get into. And once you do watch it, trust me, you do want to go hear Sean and Paul talk about it, because they're going to give you some insights that you don't maybe know about, or maybe you haven't heard yet, or maybe you just haven't thought about. So go check out that. And, of course, check out that great W2M special that those two guys did. I'm sure it was wonderful.
We had Harry Broadhurst on that show, too, who is trying to get into New Japan. So you got me and Sean, who've been around it for a while, and Harry, who's sort of brand new to the whole deal, giving his thoughts too. So it's nice foil there.
Yeah, I'm glad about it. Thank you for saying that, because once again, I did miss the show, so I am going to check it out with Harry. And I'm going to be like Harry. I really am, Paul. I'm going to do my best. I am going to try to dive into this and get into as much New Japan as I can.
Yeah,
oh,
it's worth it.
Let's just see how that goes.
With it. Yeah,
yeah, that's the thing. I may need you to hold my hand a few here. We'll be singing that Beatles song as we go through 2018. I just my hand, okay? But we'll get through it together.
I got you, babe.
But anyway, hey, there's some great news topics like another great one. Let's just hope it's not Groundhog Day. But anyway, let's talk quick hits, Paul. We've got some great ones.
Let's do it.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
All right. Well, let's start off by talking about something that is really kind of interesting, for the fact that a lot of people, including us, have been really curious about the future of Daniel Bryan and what's going to happen, what he's planning on doing. Those kind of things have always kind of come up in conversation, at least on this show, and honestly, outside of this show. Mm-hmm. And saying that, WB really doesn't know themselves. They're still up in the air. They have no idea. They've yet to clear him to wrestle. He keeps making the comments that, hey, he still wants to wrestle. So they are at an impasse at the moment. Yet we have to have something take place, right? The future's going to keep going on, and eventually time will run out. Well, apparently WB has decided that there could be a possibility of turning Daniel Bryan heel. That way, if his contract runs out and then he cannot make an agreement, he can go out and, basically be a bad guy moving on and not being a fan favorite, at least to their eyes, moving forward. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you really can change people loving Daniel Bryan. I think they're going to do it if, he slaps somebody in the face or not.
Right. To me, if this is anywhere in the realm of a thought that has been bandied about as a reason to turn him heel, then clearly WWE just does not understand modern wrestling audiences these days. If we're talking about the 1980s, 70s, maybe. Recently, hell no. Like, people will cheer whoever they want to cheer. They're going to cheer whoever they like. And especially if Daniel Bryan turns heel, it's going to make sense with the story because he's aligning with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like, this is one of the wrestling news things that sort of bothers me too, is that something's happening on screen that you can pretty clearly see, but they start making up other reasons for it. And if this is, like I said, if this is anywhere true, then WWE is much, much deeper in trouble than we thought if this is the line of thinking here, because there's no way it's going to hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, I use a very calm reference to slapping somebody in the face, but let's just be honest. Daniel Bryan going out there and shivving somebody would probably still get the effect of the fans cheering.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
I mean, we're so sorry, we lost one of our great superstars tonight because of Daniel Bryan, and everybody's like, yes.
We hated that guy anyways.
Or Randy Orton. Anyway, but the one thing that really interests me in all this is the fact that, like you said, not the 1980s, these kind of storylines don't work out the right way for the fact that ever since the Attitude Era, we're all anti-establishment, we're all anti-hero now. Mm-hmm. If you look at guys in the comic world, Paul, we talk about Deadpool being one of the biggest lately, kind of an anti-hero. He don't mind killing people. Right. No problem with it. He's just, not really a good guy. He's not Captain America. Wolverine, he doesn't care about anybody else. Only cares about doing what he needs to do, even if he has to slash through 100,000 people to do it. And there's probably goes on and on. But I'm just bringing up the fact that this is pop culture now, and this is who we are as a culture, and it shows throughout the wrestling world. Their thought process here, it doesn't make any sense, and maybe it makes them feel better. Maybe they feel better if Daniel Bryan goes out as a heel. That way, when he moves on to the next thing, maybe they can say to themselves, well, at least we tarnished the end for him. That's the only thing I could think. And does it really tarnish? No, it doesn't. It's the joke's on them, I feel like.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on all of that. Like, there's no way anything you could try to do on screen, I mean, short of maybe kicking a baby, and that's been done on WWE TV before, so I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility, but the guy is so over. You did everything you could to make this guy, and sure, it's unfortunate that he might not be working for you anymore, but like, there's just, I don't think there's anything they can do to slow down any of his momentum. Like, the dude is sort of made for life in a way.
So, I mean, in the long run, I mean, we'll have to continue to follow this. But, like I said, I mean, Daniel Bryan is a guy that I think, going out of the company, bad guy, good guy, gray area guy. I just think really the joke's on WWE, and we'll have to see if they really changed their mind on this. I mean, this is once again a rumor. This is something we've read. This is nothing that's concrete. So I don't want people saying, well, you guys said this and it's not the case. No, it's just the fact that this is some of the things coming out right now, and WWE is going to try to work it out. I don't believe that WWE is going to walk away from the table this early. Mm-hmm. Like, I really feel like we're going to continue to talk about Daniel Bryan until they finally make that decision. And yes, it's coming up sooner than later. But right now, we just don't know. So this is all speculation, but it's kind of fun to kind of chat about because, WWE sometimes seems so clueless. So
definitely reeks of that this go around in this subject for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something else that maybe they're clueless about or maybe they're onto something. But apparently Dave Meltzer, for the Wrestling Observer, has kind of made some comments and brought some things to light. And one of those, and I kind of touched on this last Thursday, but we're going to actually get into it here. Apparently, WWE's not really all that sold on Bayley anymore. In fact, it seems as they've given up on her completely, and just does not seem like that they are prepared to really even use her going forward to do much of anything. We've even seen her take pinfalls before. We've seen other people take pinfalls like Mickie James, who's kind of brought into the company to do such things. Mm-hmm. Wow, I mean, this is kind of a sad thing. I hate that we're even talking about this, Paul. But I mean, in a way, it seems like part of this is on Bayley, but part of this is on WWE. I feel like I don't know.
I don't know if I necessarily buy into the story. First of all, she's still pretty prominent on screen as far as being involved in the Absolution feud and all that. So I don't know necessarily if I believe that. She certainly is on the back burner right now, and it's necessary because we talk about that women's title run she had on Raw and everything after that in the feud with Alexa, and they just completely mishandled her, in my opinion. Like, they never got around to trying to evolve the character or anything like that. They just kept her the same, and she ended up looking silly. So that's I think that's the biggest setback, and that's still what I think people are sort of remembering right now, even though, like I said, she is on the back burner in this sort of feud with Absolution. So, given up is a very strong term. I would say certainly maybe they've pushed plans back or have nothing for her right now, and that's okay. If you give her some time to cool off and give it some time, and you come back with a really great story for her, I don't imagine there's no reason why she couldn't get herself back over again. I
agree. The one thing that I look at this situation as is WB wanted to bring Bayley in like she left NXT. Huge fan favorite. All the kids love her. She's a big deal when it comes to just getting that cartoony kind of thing going on with the kids, and even some of the fans that are older that just love the fact that she's this lovable character. Like us. I mean, let's be honest. We gush and gush about how fun Bayley is and how she's so great. And you know, it's just tough when you see someone like that we've followed for quite a while come in and then all of a sudden kind of disappear. Kind of becomes someone that doesn't matter. And I do agree with WB. It hasn't been the overwhelmingly buy-in for the crowd on this Bayley. And I get it. Maybe it's kind of all in your face and you don't know what to think at first and you're just not all on board. Well, if you've never watched NXT, then maybe I get that. Mm-hmm. I really hope your idea of them just kind of pulling her back a little bit, retooling, which I think is a definite. I think they have to do that. It needs to kind of be a process that they do gradually, but not only that, when she does reappear, it needs to be big. Mm-hmm. And if it's not big, they need to pair her up with somebody. And I'm not talking about Sasha Banks. I don't think that even them together really does. I think even Sasha's taken a hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that this is not just a one-way street. I think we've got multiple factors here. I really want to see Bayley, and this is just me throwing this out there, Paul. I'd love to hear your ideas on how we can get Bayley back on track. My idea is that if I'm looking at this right now and I'm trying to fix it quicker than later, I would love to see her pair up with a legend or somebody that she could kind of do what she did at one point, and that was just be a fan. Like, oh, you're awesome. I love you. I want to be like you. And I don't know who it would be at the moment, but somebody. Let's just say a Trish Stratus. Let's say Trish Stratus came back for the Royal Rumble, and then you sign her on for a month just to be there to mentor Bayley or something. I don't know. I just want her to get back to that roots of what she did in NXT, that lovable character. I hate to be in this vein, but remember how Eugene is, sad, I guess, is that they were kind of poking at mental illness, but Eugene, you loved him because he was this teddy bear, and you loved to root for him because he had a good heart, and he did all your favorite wrestling moves that they wasn't allowed to do anymore because it was Rock's move, the Stone Cold Steve Austin's move. It had moved on by that point. They've got to find a way to make Bayley lovable again.
I agree with you. I don't know if you go that far back, just because I really, really wonder how much casual audiences would attach to somebody who's just basically fangirling. It worked in NXT just because it felt so genuine, and it felt like just, that everything was sort of a natural extension of learning about the character. She just happened to, be like us. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that still sort of vibes with a more casual audience who may just see it in a very different way. Like, oh, she's sucking up, or I don't like this because, she's trying to coattail, or something like that. I think it'd be really natural, I think, to sort of try to evolve the character, and maybe she could still be a really lovable person and show that when it comes to ring work or being champion or something like that, that you can go the extra mile and cross that bridge. And I felt like that was a story they were trying to tell with Alexa, and they just screwed up in telling it somehow, which I still won't understand probably till the day I die, but I feel like you're going to have to try to turn her and make her more, I don't want to say darker, but you got to give her more of an edge, I think, to sort of try to hook on to people again, because I think you're going to have to do something a little more radical than just going back to the barrel again,
And I understand that, and, I'm just throwing things out there because I honestly don't really know what to do. I really don't. I'm a little lost myself, and the darker image has kind of crossed my mind, and they kind of did that when NXT had her for a while there trying to, I think it was Nia Jax she was taking on, but she had to kind of grasp a darker side of her. And it was kind of fun to see a more aggressive Bayley who wasn't all flash, who wasn't doing a lot of the more extravagant things to get the crowd behind her. She was just in attack mode, and I think that would be great here. I think it definitely could be something that would work, especially like I mentioned just a minute ago about anti-heroes, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be kind of fun to see her go into that mode of she's serious and she's ready to take on the world and she's tired of playing games. And then maybe as fans get behind her, or she does these things, and she can kind of ease back into some of those other aspects that she likes to do of being a lovable person. But it scares me because it's something I can't really wrap my mind around. I'm still a big fan of hers. I think she still has a ton to offer. It's just I got to get the other portion of this audience to understand that and to get behind the same thing I'm gotten behind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to short tail the character she has either, because it worked like gangbusters in NXT, and it didn't really matter what age you were, just because you sort of got caught up in the fever that she had, not only of being fans of wrestlers, but of being a very easy babyface to sort of latch onto. And I don't know. To me, there may have been more of an edge to the character in NXT because she won the title and then she got to defend it for a while and looked strong against some people who kept on coming and bringing a lot of heavy beatings, and she just ended up surviving and making it through every time until she ran into Asuka. So I don't know. I don't really know what to do with her either, but I definitely think they're going to have to come up with something because she has a lot to offer. I think she's a good mic worker. And, I mean, her in-ring skills, she's proven, are top-notch, too. So
I agree. And like you said, giving up a strong verbiage, I think that, once again, WB may pull the curtain back on her a little bit and maybe expose the fact that, she is a real person, showing her fandom on maybe – they've already done it a little bit online on the WB.com, but maybe show more about who she is and maybe find some sympathy that way and then get people back on track. Who knows? But I just hope that they do well by her. She definitely deserves it. So
absolutely.
Let's move on and talk a little bit more about this mixed match challenge. And this has been exciting because we've been talking a little bit about this, and we've been announcing all these new teams that are in play, and I'm really, really excited about this. I mean, we are only a week away from this thing starting, and it's going to be so much fun. I just can't wait to see what they do. But we've got some more teams announced that we haven't really talked about yet, Paul, and let's get through a couple, or actually a few of these. First on the dock here, the first team that's been announced recently is Jimmy Uso and Naomi, husband and wife. And this is a cool team. I think it fits because we have Lana and Rusev as a team. It's only fair, husband and wife couples, So what do you think about that pairing?
This is one of the ones I kind of want to see. I think that even, they are married and all that, I still think it's a super fun team, right? I mean, they both, they sort of have a similar style, even though the Usos do like to throw hands more than Naomi does. I think there's a lot of possibilities for some fun action with these two together, so I kind of hope they go far.
Yeah, the same here. I really do, and I think that they're going to bring a lot of things to the table that people are not going to expect. Nia Jax has got a tag team partner, and no, it is not Enzo Amore. He was bliss blocked, so we have Apollo Crews teaming up with Nia. I think that could be an interesting dynamic. I don't know. What would you call that? Team undersold? I don't know. They both have gotten close, but not really been able to do anything.
I don't really know a great name for this. No, never mind. That's a bad name. It is really bad. No, this could be interesting from a lot of different standpoints, especially if Nia is sort of the power person, because we know Apollo can fly around. So that could be a really, really fun dynamic. And I know we reported that Kurt Angle was supposed to be replacing Enzo. That's not so. Apparently it's Apollo Crews, so maybe I just misread it and he's going to announce a replacement instead of being the replacement.
Yeah, I guess that's the case, and I would have loved to see Kurt Angle, but it makes more sense to have an active roster person rather than the GM get involved in all this. So
yeah, and I don't think you want him wrestling week in, week out for 12 weeks either.
Yeah, that just doesn't fit what they need to do. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious. Not a terrible team, but I just kind of wonder. Basically, on Monday Night Raw, we got a couple other teams announced, and we have. I'll kind of announce this one first. Alicia Fox and Goldust, which Team Goofy is what I'll call that one.
I kind of like this pairing a lot too, just because they could be weird together, and that's not only where Goldust really shines, but I think Alicia Fox could find maybe a new lease. If this turns out like maybe Alicia turns into that masterpiece thing he kept teasing a while ago, that'd be great.
Oh my God! You know what? That would be great. I'd love to see it. He would call her his starlet, right?
Yeah, something like that.
His golden starlet. I don't know. I could see, and they are so weird that they could definitely play off each other. Oof, man, I'm getting excited thinking about that.
Thinking about it, though, it's all been scrapped, right? Because he's been palling around with Cedric, who's babyface.
I was trying not to talk about that. Maybe if Cedric shaves, we'll talk about it. Still think his beard's goofy. So let's go ahead and talk about this last team. And I saved this the best for last, to be honest with you. The Miz has a tag team partner, as you watched on Raw. It's Asuka. Oh God, this is my first fan favorite now. They're my tops.
What an oil and water mixture of a team here. There's also a large part of me that wants to see more of that mismatch play here, where Miz sort of like starts cowering away and Asuka just runs in and head kicks everybody. I think that could be really fun.
That could be fun. I just love it because he can talk his way out of anything and she can kick her way out. Okay, maybe they're not my number one favorite. I do love this team. I love Asuka being it. It's also we mentioned last week about Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, and that's a tough team too, though. I mean, you've got two people, Asuka and Braun Strowman, both involved in this mixed match challenge, and you just don't know how can they give one of these teams a loss. That's a big question for me.
I wonder, first of all, what viewership's going to be, and two, I really hope this is just sort of a fun thing that's maybe not taken too seriously. It's just a quick 20-minute little thing of wrestling. You have some fun. You go about your evening. I don't need anything super serious from this, and I really hope WWE doesn't really book it that way either, even though they're all wrestling for charity. And like we've said before, I'm assuming they're just going to donate to all of them since this is, a fixed event. But it's, I just make it like nice and fun, not really all that serious. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, and you're probably right about that. This is built to be Facebook centered, just something that people can post. They can watch it on there. Mm-hmm. That it's just really something fun. So let's just hope they do keep it to that. And they don't try to get it too much involved in other storylines, right? It's just fun, and I think that makes the most sense. So we'll see. But I love these names. These pairings have actually been really good. I mean, I'm really happy with what they've given us so far.
Like I said, I am interested in this. I will probably end up watching it. It's just, like I said, if it's not taken too seriously and it's just a bit of fun, I think it'll be perfect.
Yeah. So we will be definitely checking that out next week. Mm-hmm. Enzo Amore, once again, was not allowed to be in that mixed match challenge, and there's some reasons why. Of course, him being sick was a big one. He had to be taken off the mixed match challenge primarily for that. They were afraid that, him being around all the other superstars and all that would really cause maybe some other people to get sick. And, he was filming promos for the show and all that kind of stuff, but they just did not want him to be around anyone, so he was taken off. I think it's probably the best decision with all that sickness going around, and Enzo is a great guy, and I don't know, I think this injury recently we saw on Raw, I don't know if it's kayfabe or what, but, he's having a tough 2018 so far.
Yeah, it hasn't been going great for him. I think, like I said, I agree with you. I think they made the right call here, too. Enzo was sick while they were filming the promos, and they wanted to get them all done before a certain date so they could just keep releasing them at a steady stream, which makes sense, right? You're trying to put this together kind of quickly, and you don't really want to waste a lot of time and all that great stuff. So, while unfortunate for him, it opens the door for Apollo, and, you don't really have to worry about any of your talent getting the flu and keeping it spreading around. So that's all good news there.
Yeah, for sure. And, they've had to be overcautious for this reason. And, it's for the fact that the entire nation has dealt with this flu. I can't tell you how many times I've heard on the news or somewhere that the flu has gotten somebody really sick. And, of course, there's been deaths of elderly people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So WWE, a traveling circus, You cannot have that many people in close quarters and have at least one or two be sick. You got to keep everybody quarantined. So
right.
It is what it is. Let's talk about someone that could be joining up in that circus. Let's talk about Serena Deeb. She could be making her return to WWE. They're apparently interested.
This is great. If you listen to any of our Mae Young Classic coverage on W2M here between myself, Patrick Ketza, and Harry Broadhurst over there at Wrestling Unwrapped, we talked a lot about this. I think we even talked about this on the show some as well, in that Serena Deeb performed very well in that tournament, and keeping her as like a veteran presence around NXT, I think would be great. If they want to bring her onto the main roster, that's fine too, but she's another really solid hand you can have around, especially with the way you're bringing up a lot of younger talent now in that division. Having an experienced hand around is certainly very, very helpful, and I think Deeb fits the bill perfectly.
I agree. And she's been there. She's done that. She knows how that everything works at WWE, right? Mm-hmm. She's been on the big shows, Monday Night Raw. She knows, what's expected of her. And I think she'd be a great hand. I'm right there with you. I think what we saw at the Mae Young Classic was just a peek into what she can still do. And I'm really happy that she got over and got past all the demons that have kind of kept her back. And that's what's really, really cool to see. And I hope the best for her. I really do want to see her. It'd be really nice to see her in that Women's Royal Rumble and just make a surprise appearance. I think that'd be a big, big deal. So, let's jump into this. We saw on Monday Night Raw, Miz announced on there that they're going to have a reality show for himself and his wife, Miz and Maurice, and I think it's called Miz and the Mrs., right? Isn't that correct, Paul?
Miz and Mrs.
Miz and Mrs. And this will be on USA Network. It's going to be a reality show for them later this year. I can't say that I'm not going to want to watch it. I'm probably going to want to watch it. I do not watch Total Divas. I don't watch any of the reality programming that WWE has out there, but that one has me interested.
I have such a love-hate relationship with reality TV. I might watch a little bit of this because, we're all fans of The Miz on this show. And later this year, I'm assuming it's going to start filming, I guess nowish, and then they'll debut it then, but if they wait, then they might be around to start the show with them having the baby and all that, and then just how to live while raising a child and being on the road 300 some days a year, so
yeah,
it is interesting. So I'm sure it has an appeal out there to a lot of other people. I just don't know if I'm one of them.
Yeah, I guarantee you I'll probably record the first episode, second episode, and I'll probably find some reason why to not watch it.
Right.
I'm not going to say that I don't watch reality TV. I do watch some reality TV, not a lot of it. I don't watch the drama-filled stuff. My version of reality TV, Paul, is watching Little Couple, Little World, Little People, Big World, things that are more on the gear towards, I think families and things like that is not geared towards everybody fighting and arguing and just silly stuff, right? Just more family-oriented shows like that. So, and I don't watch a lot of them. Like I said, I probably named the 2 out of 3 I watch. The best reality TV show I think out there is not even on right now. It's called The Little Johnstons. Now that's an awesome show. It's a little family, and the husband and wife always play off sex talk. It's just funny. So.
It sounds like your kind of show, Gary.
It really is. I'm going to be very honest with you, Dad. I'll give you one line. I love the line that he had. He goes, "Yeah, I'm trying to convince my wife into getting I'm thinking about getting a tattoo of Florida, so my wife can go." She can travel downstate or something like that. I forget, it was something really sexual about basically going downstairs. I can't remember. Not to ask my wife. She loved it too. Which don't tell her I told anybody. She loved that. But anyway, we're gonna move on to something else. Not reality TV, but yeah, I'm really happy for Miz. Him and Maurice both. They, have been really entertaining every time we've seen them. So let's get a chance to see what they can do on USA. But yes, so there's other great news out there though that's going on right now. And what's interesting is the fact that, amongst all these different quick hits and stuff we've got to talk about, we have to also jump into something that is kind of a bummer, and it's something that I get, but it still kind of sucks. We've been talking about Neville and what's his status and all that. And it's definitely apparent he's not coming back to WWE. He is going to be out. And what we're hearing now is that WWE's just forcing him to write his contract out. Once it's done, then he can leave. And, of course, he's going to have to wait those 90 days before he can actually be on TV for any other company. Wow. And I honestly, Paul, I don't have the contract in front of me. I don't know how long his contract is. But, man, that does suck for him.
Yeah, nobody seems to know when exactly his contract expires. So it's just playing the waiting game. Yeah, this absolutely sucks. Neville's a terrific talent. It seemed like WWE had a lot of high hopes for him, and just creative differences, man. Neville, I think, proved that he can be more than Cruiserweight champion, and WWE just doesn't see that, or doesn't have room for him right now, or however it's going to work out. But WWE's loss is a ton of other people's gain once he hits the scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really, exciting when he does get back. I think this guy, he's not going to lose a step. I'm sure he's training like crazy. He's probably got himself ready, but I mean, it stinks when you hear about someone that has this, timetable and it's not something they can use, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that's just basically a waste of time. And this guy he's not old, but he's not exactly young either. So all this time he's spending away from the ring, he's getting paid, but he's probably missing out on tons of opportunities he could be doing right now and things that I think that would make him happy and build his career. And it sucks. But I think once he does hit the ring of any other company, I don't know which one it'll be, he'll hit the ground running. This guy is super talented. I love him, and he'll probably go back to being Pac and just being that great wrestler he is.
I agree with you. I agree with you entirely.
But yeah, I mean, so, we'll have to continue to wait this thing out, and then, one of these days we'll find out when Neville is actually going to be leaving the company. But yeah, so let's move on and see what's going on with New Japan World. That's right. We've been wanting to talk about it because we've been really curious to see how Wrestle Kingdom 12, how Alpha versus Omega would really affect New Japan, how it would affect New Japan World and their subscribers. Well, apparently New Japan has had a lot of success with their subscribe numbers. The count has been up to 95,000, and it's been an estimated 2,500 have joined in the first 2 days for Wrestle Kingdom 12.
I think you had your comment a little soon there. I think it's 25,000. If I remember reading correctly.
25,000. I am so sorry. Yeah, you're right. 95,000, but 25,000 was the added into that, right?
Right.
Before.
Yeah, so somewhere around the 70,000 mark beforehand, which this is great. Even if it is short term, it's still more money being brought in. Their name obviously got out there to a lot more people who were curious enough to check it out. Whether they stick around or not is going to be the real kicker here, but that is a very nice boost. I mean, you think about that around 8-something American, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. See, and at least they can count. I can't. I have no idea how to do that. So, not my forte, to be honest with you. I'm more of an English major kind of guy. So, but this is a big deal, Paul. This is huge. And, this is bringing up some other things. Kadani, of course, is really looking at the success of what's going on there and noticing that Jericho probably did bring a lot of those numbers. I mean, he's a guy that has the WWE name all over him. He's a big deal. So they're looking into bringing more of these WWE former talents, people that have that on their resume. And, he also wants to do some other things and, mentions needing to basically, push younger talent, especially younger Japanese talent to do some bigger things. This is really, a cool thing to see, though, because of just basically the whole storyline of Wrestle Kingdom 12 was about,
Mm-hmm. This is really interesting for the most part because if you're working WWE and you maybe hear this from Kadani at some point, doors open, fellas, is basically what he's saying. You want to come in and help us out and make some money and, see if we can't do something more with you, then let's do it. I think the younger heavyweight Japanese talent bit is very, very important here too, though, because we've seen a huge influx of Gaijins into New Japan over the last 5 years or so, and not really finding a lot of new faces to maybe replace them with when they leave. So, I mean, the search for younger talent will continue for them, and you could see a lot of it is sort of starting to work out as far as the first wave of young lions coming back and really making a big difference for them. So, basically, they have Okada now, and they're already looking for the next ace, is what it looks like after him, which is wonderful, at least from the perspective that they're already out there looking. And, I mean, if they can't train him, there's a ton of great talent over in Japan as well that I would love to see wrestle for New Japan. So,
yeah. It's a big deal, and it's really exciting to see that this is moving forward the way it is, and like you said, there's so many more talents in Japan that don't work for New Japan, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they've got some people in their backyard they can add to their roster. WB talent, like we just mentioned, Neville. Maybe Neville's that next big guy for him to make some big money, Who knows?
I mean, we talk a lot about Dolph Ziggler maybe leaving the company, too. There's another one.
God, that's a dream for me, Paul. That is a dream. Just to see Dolph Ziggler no longer under Vince's thumb, and then to see him go to New Japan and light the world on fire.
I'd love to see it. I think that'd be great for him. I think it'd be great for New Japan. It's definitely a way to keep getting people to pay attention to you, and you don't want to go too far because you want to stay away from the stigma that Impact eventually got, where it's just, you leave WWE, you go to Impact. You don't want it to be, you leave WWE, go to New Japan. I very much don't think that's the kind of perception you want. So I hope they're aware of that as well.
I'm right there with you. What would be great is if Ring of Honor kind of helped with this and they signed a few of those talents. And then, the crossover's still there, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not oversaturation.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see what's going on in New Japan. I'm just super excited for them and to see that they've had some great success recently, and hopefully they add on to that. But yeah, I mean, what's great too is the fact that, what's going on over there also means that they have to switch things around and, of course, add those new additions. We saw a recent press conference that Okada introduced a new member to Chaos. That new member, Jay Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Wow. He is now a member of Chaos, and he says that he still will want his, matchup with Okada down the line. But yeah, definitely not a Bullet Club guy. Of course, we saw at New Year's Dash, he turned that down pretty quick to Kenny Omega. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Chaos, wow.
Yeah, this is, this literally happened while me, Sean, and Harry were doing the special that, Gary just mentioned at the top of the show. So we looked a little silly maybe afterwards, but it happened during, so we can't really fix it. But Jay White adding into Chaos, realizing he can't fight Bullet Club alone makes a lot of sense. I really like this extra bit though that he doesn't understand why stablemates aren't fighting each other for titles. Because that's been a big complaint, and at least for me, I've wanted to see at least Ishii challenge Okada for the championship at some point. Especially since he beat him in the G1 2 years ago now. I think there's a lot of opportunities from this, and even if it's just friendly, the door needs to be opened, and if this is how they do it, hats off, because I think this would be a real big game changer for them.
I agree, and this is a big deal. This really is, because it's not only an exciting moment for Chaos and for the fans of New Japan, but I think it's an important moment for Jay White, and like you said, it could change the way they do things. Him and his presence and the things that he said could definitely be the marker for us to see, future factions having intermingling of matches and, things like that. So I think it's cool, and I'm really happy for him. Jay White definitely. I think this overcomes what we saw at Wrestle Kingdom 12, because big disappointment, I think, for a lot of us fans of Wyatt. Now we're not so disappointed. So, Let's talk about one last thing here. We've got to talk some Ring of Honor contracts. Well, just a couple of them here. We want to let everybody know that Ring of Honor has actually re-signed the boys. That's right. So they'll be following along with Ring of Honor a little longer. And we also have the Beer City Bruiser. Yeah, that's right. He's still going to be a part of that company. Really cool. One guy we're not right now at the moment going to see, and maybe down the line it'll happen, but who knows? Silas Young, he has not signed with Ring of Honor just yet. His contract has expired. Who knows what's going on with that? I don't know why they haven't already got him inked in. But yeah, that's a few guys. I'm really, like I said, I'm really happy for the boys. I think the Beer City Bruiser, he's a great talent, but really bummed about the Silas Young thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, mostly these contracts are for U.S. exclusivity as far as TV and other stuff goes for that. It's not saying you can't work other places, even though in Silas's case, I think it was more firmed up that way because he had to leave AIW and AAW after signing his contract last year. So it could be more, but that's usually what it's for. So I don't know if we see him work both, because there was talk on his Twitter of being in Orlando and maybe doing something because he was bored. So it has some people thinking he might be jumping to Impact, which I don't know if he's heard, but they're trying to move to Canada, and he's not Canadian, so I don't know. I feel like it's probably just them not being able to hammer out terms yet. And I mean, Ring of Honor made a ton of money last year, so maybe Silas just trying to get a little piece of that pie. Because, I mean, he's a big part of that success, I feel like.
I agree with you. And I think that's a big part of what he's doing right here. I think you hit the nail on the head. Mm-hmm. I think that, money's always a big motivator. And I think it's motivating him because he does know what he's done for Ring of Honor. I think he's realized, and I think that they've realized, he's a bigger star than they once saw. Mm-hmm. I think you've definitely got a big portion of that Ring of Honor audience who are definitely checking out Silas Young and everything he's doing, and I think that they probably will try to make that move. Now, if he is looking more into Impact Wrestling, it's very interesting. I know he's a real man, but can he be a real man in that kind of cold? And
that's a pretty decent impression.
I try, and I can't do it. Now you're going to screw me up. But I love Silas Young to death. And if he goes to Impact, we watch Impact. So if he goes, I'm okay with it. But I just love his interaction with the guys at Ring of Honor. I love him in the Beer City Bruiser. I just want to continue seeing that work. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But, well, there you go. That is our quick hits for this episode. And, of course, I'm sure on the Friday morning show we'll have some other big news topics to jump into. But for now, we are now going to actually move on and talk about this week's TV taping of Ring of Honor. So let's go ahead and do that now.
All right. So we opened the show this week with some highlights for Final Battle 2017, which you haven't watched. It's a good show. I would recommend you go watch it. You also, honestly, you don't need to watch the main event other than the finish. So, and speaking of the main event, the winner of that main event, Dalton Castle, comes on down to get his traditional promo in. That happens at every company, but Ring of Honor calls it one of their own traditions as well. And talks about how he's made a lot of mistakes in his past. He's had a lot of doubters, but he proved them all wrong. He proved joining Ring of Honor wasn't a mistake, or, staying for that matter, because there was a lot of talk last year that he might be leaving them. And as long as he's the champ, he's going to be a, quote, megalodon swimming through the damn ocean, Gary, which I love that line. Ancient shark references, definite way to get over.
Oh, my God. That was too funny. I have to admit. I mean, this is what makes Dalton Castle the guy. I love it.
After that line, though, he's interrupted by Jay Lethal, and Castle's really surprised because they've never really interacted with each other or talked, or as Dalton puts, Jay's never even sent him a Facebook friendship request, Gary. Like, that is unjustifiable.
Freaking jerk.
We all know why Lethal's out here, though. He wants a shot at the world title. He ends up congratulating Dalton as well, and Castle is sort of flabbergasted by his challenge and needs to take a seat, so he sits on one of the boys and then offers the other boy for Jay to sit on, and Jay, he just can't do it. He tries, and he's just not comfortable with it because he finds Dalton to be a, quote, really weird guy. You can't write stuff like that.
A really weird guy. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. This whole thing is hilarious. I gotta give
classic Dalton.
It's everything about him, and of course, this is why I love him, and that's why I love this segment. Just Jay Lethal's face and just the awkwardness about sitting on the boy. Oh, I love it. And not only that, I mean, I think it's just kind of an extravagant way for him to kind of come out here and cut this promo and just have a great time. That's why he felt very comfortable in this whole atmosphere, and I really think it was great for them to showcase him this way, and it's cool. I was totally down with this. I love Jay Lethal. Didn't have to be the bad guy here. He didn't have to come in and be a jerk. He could just be Jay Lethal, and they interacted so very well together, so I was totally on board. This was a lot of fun.
I agree. I enjoyed this entire promo. And of course, afterwards, you have Punishment Martinez run in and hit the choke slam on him and pose with the title. He won the Survival of the Fittest tournament, which I can't remember if they actually ever announced during the last set of tapings before that led into Final Battle. But of course, that means he has a shot at the title somewhere down the line. I wager he might be his first defense because Lethal to me sounds like a pay-per-view match. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
And we also we get 3 Ring of Honor Club bumps during this before that lead into commercials. So very heavily hyping this up already, which is good. Honestly, just because subscribing, all that, more money for you guys. If it's better, like I said last time, if it's better than being a ringside member, then please, dear God, let it be. We go backstage to the Kingdom. Taven says he's beaten everybody worth beating, and they are coming for all the gold. So he brings world title, 6-man titles, tag titles. They're all coming the Kingdom's way because 2018 is going to be their year, Gary, and Ring of Honor cannot hold them back forever. Boy, howdy, do I agree with that.
I agree with it, and I hope it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really do. And I think the Kingdom has a lot to offer Ring of Honor and everyone involved. And heck, I mean, going to New Japan too. I think these guys can go anywhere and just do a fabulous job. And I think that they're going to bring a new wave of heat that they haven't brought just yet. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out in the end. But I think the potential we have right in front of us is exciting for the Kingdom.
I agree. And this brings us to our first matchup of the evening. Our Ring of Honor TV title on the line as Silas Young defends against Simon Grimm, of all people, who the last time we saw on TV took the pinfall. So I don't know how that gets you a title match, but here we are. This was very much about showing off Silas. Look at all the cool stuff he can do. He can actually do a little bit of lucha. He can hit hard. Grimm gets in a little, but this was all about Silas, who wins it with misery.
Yeah, and, I think that this is, not a great for Simon Grimm for sure, but I think at least his face is out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, he's a new guy to the company, and he's got to take, I think, his bumps and his lumps and all those things to kind of get himself into the groove, and at least people know who he is. And I think that's what's important here. You knew all the way around that Silas Young was going to win this match. You just knew it. And that's okay. That's good. And I think Silas Young needs to look good, especially being that, TV title holder, and especially for what we'll talk about, pretty soon here. But I think this was a decent match. It really just, like you said, it put a big light on Silas Young. And that's great. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And we have some progression here, too. Kenny King comes out in the post-match to no reaction, like the crowd doesn't do anything for him. However, he's running down Silas, he puts over Philly, all these other things. Finally brings up Final Battle and says that Silas had to basically cheat to get it done, to use a beer bottle whenever he beat even though he went on to beat Punishment clean, he had to go that extra mile to keep Kenny down. So Kenny brings up, he's already signed all the paperwork and done his homework to get his rematch for the championship, but he's ready to fight. He's had a bunch of beer, and he's just ready to go in there, kick some ass, and ends up spitting beer into Silas's face, blinding him, and security runs in to keep them apart. I actually kind of like this. Kenny didn't feel like he was trying too hard, which I feel like does happen on the microphone sometimes. To me, this felt very, very just sort of him, which I think needs to happen more often.
It really was Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, adding in, the tough talk, the swearing and all that. I mean, I think it just shows his emotion, and that's fine. And I think he does a pretty good job of it. But, I mean, he's Kenny King. I think really most of his work is done pretty well in the ring. I think he does fine on the mic, but it's I don't know. I was okay with this. I'll say it that way. I wasn't blown out of the water by Kenny King on this one, but I think he did a decent job.
Mm-hmm. And it certainly did sell that the feud is sort of about hatred now, too. Like, Kenny is not at all a fan of what Silas did to him, and I felt like that came across well here, too. So
yeah, it definitely did, and he did his job. I don't want to take anything away from Kenny King. He did his job and got the point across, but I just, he's a guy that, he works hard at it, but sometimes, you kind of are into what he's saying, and sometimes you're just not all the way there.
Exactly, yeah. We get some more Final Battle highlights of Bully Ray's last match. We get the Women of Honor title announcement again, too, which I mentioned started on the 20th in Nashville, and I said it wasn't a TV taping. I was wrong. It is. So there is hope that we'll see some of that happen in the coming weeks. But this brings us to our next matches. The Briscoes squash Ryan Nova and Eli Isom from the RoH Dojo. I love heel Briscoes in the modern age. They're so mean and angry and full of hate, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It really is, and it's for the fact that you don't want to F with those guys.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, and when they're heels and when they're angry and they're mad, and you're just like, oof, I'm glad I'm not in that ring with those guys. Mm-hmm. And it makes it special. It means that these guys are not old hat, because let's be honest, when these guys are sweet or they're nice or they're just, good old boys, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cartoony, but you don't feel like that they matter. Now they matter. So this is good. This is really, really good.
Yeah, and in the post-match, they bring up ending Bully Ray's career, but they're ready to move on and get those tag team titles. So it looks like the Motor City Machine Guns are next up on the hit list, and I don't like their odds, Gary.
I'm right there with you. I think they may want to spend some extra time in Detroit and just leave the titles wherever they may be.
We cut backstage to see Silas and the Beer City Bruiser. Bruiser's confident that Silas can handle anything Kenny King's going to bring at him, and he wants to be a tag team champion, and he's got a guy in mind since Silas clearly has other things on his plate, and Silas says, you know what, Bruiser, you have my blessing, and this is such smart booking. I really wish we would see this in more promotions, where you have a guy find singles success and his tag partner sort of left in the wind. I mean, this is just, I dig this so much. I thought this was cool.
It just makes too much sense to be wrestling.
Right. That's exactly it, Gary.
It just does. And no, I'm right there with you. This is the thing that my God, I mean, did we really have to take this long to do this? I mean, come on. And I'm so glad it is Silas Young that's involved in it. So I think it's great. It really, really is great. And I'm really kind of curious who that tag partner is going to be for the Beer City Bruiser. I can't wait to find out.
I'm with you. I think it's a really, really good idea because we've seen the Bruiser work well in tag work, so I think that's a great way to use them. We cut to the Hung Bucks, who are all pissed off about the Addiction's attack on them at Final Battle, which we get highlights of here. We learned that Scorpio Sky and The Addiction, called themselves SoCal Uncensored, which is I don't know if they're still in business, but they used to review Southern California wrestling shows online. So that was a nice little shout-out to those guys there. Paige, however, is all pissed off and ready to spill their brains on the floor for the attack. So doesn't take much to get Adam Page pissed off, Gary.
No, it doesn't. And, another guy that, when he gets upset, you want to watch out. But I think it's going to be kind of fun to kind of see how that all unfolds and to see, how far, they really do go. Because this could be, a pretty rough feud.
Mm-hmm. And this brings us to our main event as Flip Gordon takes on the villain, Marty Scrull. And we open with a old school picture-in-picture promo, which I don't recall Ring of Honor ever doing before. And he's not really mad about losing at Final Battle, and he's proud of what Jay did to win. And he takes credit for getting him that far and for giving him the confidence to challenge for the world title, and he wants a world title match too. Which, Marty Scrull versus Dalton Castle, sign me up. That's money, and I can't wait to see that. For this match, however, Flip gets in a whole ton of stuff, really has Marty on the ropes throughout the match, but it's just not enough. He ends up falling to the Ghostbuster. We talk about this all the time. Flip in these matches with the Bullet Club really does get to shine. It's clear that they have, big aspirations for this guy, and as far as the ring work goes, it's really hard to disagree with him because he fits the bill of what people are looking for today.
Oh, you're exactly right. And this is a guy that you really honestly, I look at and I say if he doesn't have some big moments, when it comes to titles or something like that in his future, there's something wrong. Because I think, either whether it's going for a title or winning titles or doing big things in 2018, I see it. It's got to come. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win the Ring of Honor Championship. I'm just saying, go out there and win a tag title or win a, even the TV title. Who knows? Mm-hmm. But this guy is too valuable, too important. And not only that, I think, it's going to be hard for me also not to see by next year. This guy may be the biggest babyface that they have. He could be. I love what he has to offer. And to be honest with you, this whole thing with the Bullet Club has really helped. You're right. This has been something because of the foil that they've been to him. And, we see it again. Marty Scrull, he does everything he can to beat Marty. And, he puts Marty right there on the edge, but he still cannot win. Mm-hmm. So this is a big deal. It's a big feud. And I think it's cool. I think they're onto something here. I can't get over how great this young guy is, though. Man, he is just top notch right now in Ring of Honor.
Absolutely. This is a great match, too. So if you guys Fight TV or Fight.tv on the interwebs or their app, go watch this episode for that main event. It is absolutely worth it. It's a really great match.
Yeah, definitely. I can't get over how much fun this guy is to watch. So. Yeah. Paul is exactly right. Go find him. I just wanted to get on my high horse right now. I am angry at my local television station that Sinclair, I guess, owns because they don't have Ring of Honor on right now for some reason.
They sure don't.
A little pissed off about that. I'm thinking about writing them in old man fashion. I'm gonna get on there. I may even send them a letter in the mail.
Oh man.
Yeah, you got to watch out. I'm really pissed off right now. Beer City Bruiser might as well have me as his tag partner because right now I'll fight any man to
spoilers.
Get back. Yeah, so. Yeah, spoilers. Could you see me in the ring, Beer City Bruiser? He's like, he goes, okay, kid, are you ready? I'm like, well, I may not be a real man, but I can give you a beer.
Good enough.
So, yeah. But anyway, well, we'll have to see. But yes, Ring of Honor, I can't wait till we get it next week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We have some big things coming your way in 2018, I'm sure, with that promotion. So we'll be talking more about that on next Tuesday morning show. You don't want to miss that. So you don't want to miss a minute of the other action we got coming your way. This Friday morning, we have to talk some Impact Wrestling. We're going to get into some more quick hits that you're not going to want to miss out on, and a lot more. That is going to be a big show. That'll be part 2 to be looking forward to. And hey, if you want to come check out all of the other great content, of course, me and Paul did a Raw review. A lot of fun there. Harry and Liz, and of course, everyone involved in Wrestling to the Max usually tries our best to give you some other great reviews. We got SmackDown Live, we got 205 Live reviews coming your way, and also don't forget the NXT review. Can't wait to jump into that too. That'll be the first NXT of 2018. That's going to be so much fun to get into as well. So big shows coming. Make sure you go check out all the other great content at W2Mnet.com. That's right. Not only do you get these wrestling programs, you'll get ton more wrestling programs to listen to. So go over there and, hey, make sure you go ahead and check out all the other shows because we do video games. Of course, we got the sports and we also have entertainment. So lots of great stuff there. If you want to find us through your podcast networks, wherever you want to go, then that means you need to go to the W2M network or just Wrestle Under the Max to come find us and subscribe, rate, and review. You'll get everything you want in one nice place, and you'll get a chance to check out every single thing we do. And hey, make sure you give big love to 411mania.com and lastwordonprowrestling.com. They do a lot for us when it comes to support, and we want to support them. We thank them for sure. But yeah, and that's our show, Paul. It just seems like it flew by, but we are done. Excited about next Thursday night or Friday morning show. We're going to get into some cool content, so there you go. And hopefully we'll have Sean on, and then, yeah, we'll have everybody back together, hopefully. So let's get ready to do it. So until then, guys, we will catch you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The previous podcast is a W2Mnet.com original podcast. For more great content like this, go to W2Mnet.com for the worlds of wrestling, video games, entertainment, and sports.